Ready? This is me, 1966, Los Angeles. I grew up looking at my dad's favorite painting, always hanging in his office. Recently discovered it was painted by Amalia Schultes right here in Taos in the 1950s. Unknowingly, Taos was talking to me at a young age. 1986 in Malibu, finishing up my degree in economics at Pepperdine University, I took a beginning photography class as a joke. Totally changed my life and any plans for a real job. The first portrait I did from that class was my artist friend, Ron Davis. 1989, Teasy and I moved to Taos, and Ron followed the year later. I became his studio assistant making sculpture, leaving an indelible imprint on my creative vision and desire to do three-dimensional work. This is the front and back cover of a limited edition catalog of Ron's work. 1995, we moved to France, lived on a boat for 8 years in a 1927 Dutch barge on the rivers and canals. While remodeling the boat from stem to stern, I would make sculptures from the scrap pieces of metal and wood in my outdoor studio. I still have 3 of these left from that time in France, gave most away as gifts, never formally showed them, as I felt they were too directly influenced by Ron's work. I knew someday I would find my own voice, not here, but made these in the meantime. Another major influence of my sculptural work was Mike Reynolds. He inspired me to think completely out of the box and made a series of sculptures that most people called houses. In 1990, I built an earthship that we still live in today. Thanks, Mike. When we returned from France, I built our guest house. The central room is a Navajo Hogan-style dome with a 4-foot diameter hole skylight in the center. The hole of light reminded me of a sculpture made by Ron Cooper that is also etched in my mind as a powerful image. More recently, I built an indoor therapy pool for Tesia with another geometric hole in the dome structure. There's no glass covering, just an open hole to the sky, which from below looking out transports you to the outer elements of the sky, clouds, and space. Since that beginning photography class, I continued making portraits of artists. Being immersed in the Taos art scene has had an immeasurable influence on my visual vocabulary, none more so than by Larry Bell and Ron Cooper. In 2012, I published a book of portraits called Taos Portraits. Although I will continue to shoot, I feel a chapter has closed, and I allowed myself to dive into a long-waiting dream of building a body of sculptural work that integrated all my years of creating. So I built a studio and started in. Again, finding myself making perspective pieces that were too derivative of the past. Still, I followed it to see where it would lead, using an old page of a Stendig calendar to draw out the shapes. Using the pieces of paper as a template, I transfer them to wood or steel. My palette is made up of natural colors and grains of wood, along with all kinds of metals like stainless steel, copper, or just naturally rusted pieces of metal. At this point in the making of this piece, I decided to break up the classic perspective box I was building myself in. It needed to be one contiguous piece that would hang on the wall, so I overlapped the elements and embedded one piece into the other. All the individual parts are then attached to one backing piece of wood, making it about 2 inches thick. Then every edge is cut back at 45-degree angle, so when finished, they look like they're floating off the wall. Still not comfortable, I gave myself an assignment to change things up. I decided to limit myself to 6 and 4-sided shapes, no perspective, and see what happened. I came up with several pieces like this one using stainless steel, etched line, and wood inlay. There's about 16 inches apart. While working on a four-sided piece of wood and steel, I had my Blumenschein broken wheel moment when a knot fell out. It brought to mind all kinds of influential holes, like Ken Price's work, the Hogan skylight, and Ron Cooper's sculptures that I mentioned earlier. This black hole that I already knew and discovered at the same time represented something deeply meaningful in my daily meditation practice, that of infinite spaciousness. Growing up on the beaches of Southern California and living on the Hondo Mesa for 28 years, horizon lines, setting suns, and moons have a particular resonance with me. Although these pieces are minimal and abstract, sometimes I can't help but see vistas and planets. This is the last piece I made before my show, and something of a breakthrough in a new direction. Too much to explain in 20 seconds, but it has me excited to get back into the studio. So my first show is up right now at the Philip Rice Gallery. It's open till October the 3rd. By appointment only, although I'll be there tomorrow, Monday, from noon to 3, with the doors open for anyone who wants to see it. And I have these invitations with my cell phone on the back outside. Please come, I'd love for you to see it in person.